Hello, friends, and welcome into the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Down. We have a bunch of rumors to get into today. So we're going to start off with Robert Quinn. Will he stay? I'm going to give this one 2 stars. Now, Quinn recently spoke to Mike Fisher, and the initial I was like, yeah, Quinn wants to stay in Dallas, which, I think every free agent ever has said, yes, almost every free agent ever has said, yes, I want to stay with my current team. He also made sure to point out that this is a business, and there will have to be a discussion had on both ends on that one. The Cowboys would like to bring back Quinn. I think that's pretty clear, especially with the way that he played in 2019. But it will be a question of money. If Robert Quinn decides to just chase the most amount of money, he's probably going to leave. Now, if he takes a little bit less, it does make some more sense. Here's what Quinn said yesterday. At first, I joined a locker room full of strangers, then they became friends, and some of them became brothers. You love when things like that happen, or as my friend Harrison says, you love to see it. It's a business, he also says. You know how it goes. I've never been a free agent before, so it's an interesting process that I'm about to go through. We'll just sit back and we'll see what happens. A pretty clear indication, especially to me, that Quinn is going to test free agency. Now, from a pass rush perspective, Quinn was really good this year. Not quite as good as his earlier prime years with the Rams, but he had a big-time bounce back year. Is he the greatest against the run? No, not really. It's also 2020. For my defensive ends, I really like pass rushers. That's a key for me, especially when I have an elite run defender and an elite pass rusher already there in DeMarcus Lawrence. And behind Quinn, I don't see a whole lot of great options. Kerry Hyder's a free agent. Maybe give Dorrance Armstrong a bigger chance. You have Joe Jackson, Jalen Jelks. I don't know about that one. And it's especially tough this offseason because the Cowboys do have some decisions to make. Now, if you really wanted to, you can afford both of these players. It will probably cost you someone down the road, but any one individual player, the way the salary cap works, you can afford them. But if you could only pick one, who is it? Q for Quinn or J for Byron Jones? Get your votes in here. At least for me personally, I'm taking Byron Jones. The more and more I watch the NFL, the more in depth I get, the more I think that you obviously need both to impact each other. It's really tough to get to the quarterback if your corners are terrible. And as I've mentioned before, I don't trust this cornerback room beyond if Byron Jones leaves. Now, you can adjust it other ways and figure out a corner, figure out your edge, but in a bubble between those two, I'm taking Byron. Move on now to Dak Prescott. Does he expect to get a deal? This one is not a surprise whatsoever. It's 4 stars. Dak does expect to get a deal done, and to be quite frank, I'm getting tired of this. This is now multiple times from both sides, both from the Cowboys and from Dak Prescott, that they say, yes, we want to get a deal done. And Dak says, I got confidence a deal will get done. But the longer this goes, at least for me, the more frustrating it gets. You have time. You don't have to rush necessarily. But we know the contract's going to come in among top 5 in the NFL. We've been over that multiple times. We'll go over it again in a second. But we know about what it's going to be. And the sooner you get the deal done, the faster you can move on to other areas of your roster that need help. Because it's the NFL, you always have needs. Now, I'm curious what you guys think here. Maybe I'm being overly sensitive. But are you getting tired of the Dak contract talk? Type Y for yes, type N for no. We'll dive into some of your comments here, but I think, yes, I am getting rather tired of it at this point for the Dallas Cowboys. I see Angel at Hurt saying yes. I see lots of yeses coming in here early. Keep them coming in. I don't see very many N's. Well, Gaming Night says N, but it's not there yet for me. But it's starting to get into the area of let's just get it done, just like Zeke. Like, you knew it was going to get done. It was just a matter of, okay, let's just move along here. Let's get together in a room and just finish this thing out. I did see someone say just tag him already. Can't tag anybody for a little bit. That window is not yet open. So if you want to tag, you have to wait for the Dallas Cowboys to get moving here and the timeline to just be advanced at that point. Here was Dak's quote, by the way, more recently about his contract situation. I've got confidence something will be done. Obviously, being the Cowboys QB is second to none. There are very few positions in all of sports that are comparable to it. My mindset is to be in Dallas. I've got the confidence in my team, meaning his agents, not the Cowboys, to get something done, and the confidence in the Cowboys that we will be able to do it. We know what the price tag is going to end up looking like here. It's going to end up being 33 or 34, somewhere in that range. It's going to be around the Jared Goff contract. And by the way, I've seen this comment a lot, and I'm tired of it. The idea that, well, if you pay a quarterback top 5 money, your team's screwed, you can't make it anywhere. Are we seriously forgetting that like 2 years ago, the Niners made Jimmy Garoppolo the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, and now they're in the Super Bowl? Did we forget about that? It's very nitpicky arguments there. Yes, it does make it tougher. It's also way easier than not having a quarterback, just so we're clear. And as we've mentioned before, the longer it takes, the more likely it is that the price tag will go up for Deshaun Watson, for Mahomes. Now, Mahomes seems to be willing to wait, which buys the Cowboys more time, but Dak's healthy. He said his shoulder's in great shape there. I'm just saying, get it done sooner than later, and you'll end up being okay. I do have some deals for you guys here, so pay attention. These are only going to last through Friday, so get in while you still can. Chatsports.com/Cowboys jersey. Chatsports.com/Cowboys jersey. 20% off all Cowboys jerseys. These Zeke ones, by the way, under $65. And heck, if you want a custom Cowboys jersey, you can get one as well. Those are also on sale for 25% off. Check the comments, check the description. I've got the link in there for you guys. Probably gonna get mad at this one. How about Tom Brady to the Cowboys? For starters, there's room for one Tom in Dallas, and that's very clearly me. And in general, this is a horrible idea. It's fake news. This doesn't make any sense. CBS Sports Radio, Boomer Esiason was on, along with Phil Simms. Boomer thinks this makes sense, which is stupid. And it's made even worse by the contract idea he floated out there. 3 years, $120 million for Tom Brady. I mean, are you fucking kidding me? You want to pay Tom Brady $40 million per year at age 43? What are we doing out here? That's a horrible idea. Why would Dallas want to get worse and older at the quarterback position? You're going to be paying 45-year-old Tom Brady $40 million? Okay, that if you're worried about sinking the rest of your team, that's going to do it. If we want to be real here, Tom Brady ain't the same guy. If I was getting 33-year-old Tom Brady, I can have that discussion. The stone-cold reality is Dak Prescott is better now than Tom Brady. Certainly not for his career, but the 2020-2019 version, yeah, he is a better player. It does not make sense. This is a horrible idea by the Dallas Cowboys, and quite frankly, there's only one possible answer to Esiason's comment. Okay, Boomer. Like that's the only response I can have at this point. It doesn't make sense. It's a horrible idea. Maybe it makes sense for Brady because $40 million in Dallas. That's cool. But for the Cowboys, why are you getting worse? And then now you got an old quarterback. Okay, you got to go draft somebody. So everyone in the comments, help me out here. I think this might be the best OK Boomer story we're going to have all off season, beyond, of course, bringing back Jimmy Johnson. All right, back to realistic free agency ideas here on the Cowboys Report. Do the Cowboys have to re-sign Amari Cooper? This one was tough for me. I'm going to give it 3 stars. If you had asked me this in October or early November, I probably would have given it 4. But I'm going to drop it down to 3, and I thought about 2, because in the end, it's still the route I would go. But I always make the point when it comes to Dak Prescott or others, if you're going to let a very talented player go, like Amari Cooper, you better have a backup idea or a replacement plan. And unlike quarterback, it is easier to find that replacement plan at the wide receiver position. Now, yes, there are not very many free agent options, but it is a deep wide receiver draft class. And if I get guaranteed early season Amari Cooper, again, it's back to 4 stars. Like, that guy was absolutely balling out. You take out the one game in which he got hurt against the Jets. Like, It's like 85% of the snaps, and he was playing out of his mind. The problem is, the last 7 games, amid, I think, some injury problems, Cooper was not the same guy. And for the Cowboys, it is kind of concerning here, because between Dak and Zeke and Amari and others, you're about to lock in your core. And those are the guys you're going to win with because you're paying them big money. Now, again, in November, I felt way better about that from the wide receiver position. And you have Michael Gallup. Randall Cobb's a free agent as well. I love Gallup. I'm not convinced Gallup's a number 1. I think Gallup's best role is as that high-end number 2. You bring back Cobb, you still are looking for that number 1 receiver in Amari Cooper. So what should Dallas do with him? Type T for tag, P for pay him, and W for let him walk. If you type in W, stay tuned. We'll get to some other options if that's the route in terms of replacements there. In general, I don't like tagging players because in the long run, it does cost you a little bit extra money. It just increases the amount you have to pay going forward. Caps go up. You have a second tag. It's way expensive. That's how contracts work. But for this one, I would at least be open to tagging Amari Cooper, although most of you right now are typing in your P's. Now, if you typed in W, as at least a couple of you did, the free agency grouping is not great. A.J. Green, old and hurt. I like Emmanuel Sanders, but he's also old. Is going from Amari Cooper to Robbie Anderson and saving $4 or $5 million really worth it? I don't think so. So the route to go is probably the draft, and that's the bright side here. It is a super strong receiver draft class. Now, I'll make note, I don't think you're going to get CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Jeudy. I wish you would. Probably not going to happen. Other first-round guys are Henry Ruggs, T. Higgins, Laviska Shenault, or even later on in day 2, it's a really strong receiver class. Between Justin Jefferson, who's more of a slot guy, KJ Hamler's got some speed. I know a lot of you guys last year loved Jalen Hurd. I'm a big Denzel Mims fan out of Baylor this time around. So it is easier to replace Amari Cooper via the draft. I just don't know if that's really the route that you want to end up going if you're the Dallas Cowboys here. In terms of if you're trying to win right now, I think Cooper ends up hurting you that right. Dime mentions Colin Johnson. I've left out a lot of receivers, guys. That's how strong this receiving class actually is. Now, if you want to stay up to date on everything around the Cowboys, the draft, free agency, rumors, news, live Q&As, we've got you covered here on the Cowboys Report. We are the number 1 Cowboys YouTube channel, so join the club and hit that big red button. All right, more rumors here. Next up, don't give up on Chidobe Awuzie. I'll give it 3. We don't have to trade him right now, but you also can't be assuming he's going to be a long-term option for you. He did not have the breakout year, as I know everyone in the comments, and I myself, of course, had hoped was going to happen. But he was also far from the worst cornerback out there. I know that, understandably so. We blame a lot of Awuzie. He's still one of your best corners on your roster. You do need more from him, and hopefully a scheme change helps. But it's not fair to say, let's just dump him. We can find anybody better than him. He's not trash. He just wasn't good enough last year. Especially compared to, say, Byron Jones. There's a reason Byron was the number 1, and Awuzie wasn't really targeted in that, or didn't have the same production while being targeted more. And I am fine with Awuzie, and I really do hope that a year with a new scheme helps him in a big way. That's my hope, that Awuzie was normally in good position, but as you guys know, he doesn't get his head around. That's the one thing that was missing from Awuzie's game. Maybe a scheme change will help his coverage stats improve, and instead of giving up a higher completion percentage and only 1 interception, he can change a couple of those 3rd and 9 completions into a pass breakup or an interception or something along those lines. But with that said, and I want to make this part clear, you still need to get help. You have got to go add at minimum more depth to your roster. Entering the year, even if you keep Byron with Byron Jones and then pending free agents in Awuzie and Jordan Lewis, you're going to be right back in the same spot you are this offseason. So you can hope that Awuzie gets going, but you better still search for other options. So not quite trust but verify, but hope and look for other help in this case. Today's show is brought to you by BetDSI. It is almost Super Bowl 54. So if you want to bet on all kinds of stuff related to the game, you got to do it on BetDSI. Chatsports.com/bet. Use that promo code Cowboys120. On one of our more recent NFL Daily shows, I let everyone in the comments spend my money, my bonus money on BetDSI, asked what will be the first beverage commercial. I tried to push for Anheuser-Busch, and everyone voted for Coca-Cola instead, so I am now cheering for Coke being the first beverage commercial during Super Bowl 54, but we will see if that actually ends up happening. All right, moving on now to Christian Fulton. Do I want him, and should Cowboys fans want him in the draft? It's a no-brainer for me. I give it 4 stars here. We won't spend too much time on this one because I got a stat that I think explains it pretty damn well. I think he's going to be cornerback 2 behind Jeffrey Okudah. I think he would be an ideal pick at number 17 overall, especially if you end up losing Byron Jones. I know many of you are burned by Morris Claiborne. I know. I get it. Not the same player. Pretend the helmet isn't on right there. Fulton this year at LSU, his coverage stats allowed under 45% completion percentage. Yes, he allowed 3 touchdowns, 453 yards, 14 pass breakups. So the interceptions were not great, but the pass breakups were. Fulton can actually play man-to-man coverage, I think, in the NFL. Those guys can be a little tricky to find. So if he's there at 17, I love this option. There are other round 1 cornerbacks out there. You're not going to get Okudah, so you can give up that dream if you had it for whatever reason. Trayvon Diggs, C.J. Henderson, Jeff Gladney, the TCU kid, who I think is a bit underrated there. Fulton is above those guys for me. Of course, I was ready to change my mind later on, but I would very much like to bring him in. So who do you want in round 1? Let me know in the comments section. I see Tyrone saying that he likes the Alabama cornerback. Someone wants Javon Kinlaw. Kinlaw is also a very good fit there. Keep the comments coming, and don't worry, coming up in a little bit, we will do some live Q&A focused solely on the NFL draft, so make sure you use that hashtag draft in the comments. One last rumor, and this one will be a little bit quicker here. Playing in Mexico City. I'll give it 2 stars. I think it's a good idea for the NFL to do it. This is the Dallas Cowboys, after all. If you are worried about ticket sales or you want to get interest going, I think the Dallas Cowboys are a good fit to go play in Mexico. And Roger Goodell did announce that games would be played in Mexico City in 2020 and 2021. The problem becomes, and Stephen Jones lays it out quite nicely, that we're always interested, Jones says. Our biggest issue is giving up a home game. We have never given up a home game, and we would not. So what you have to do, okay, well, if you're not going to do that, what are the road games? What options here make some sense? Giants, Eagles, Redskins, I doubt they do it for a NFC East game. Ravens, maybe not the most sense there. Other road teams this year, Bengals, Rams, Vikings, Seattle, as it relates to 2020. Maybe the Rams make some sense. Now, I don't know if they want to give up a home game, but I'm certainly intrigued by that one. Bengals, I don't. That's kind of rude to send the Bengals down to Mexico. Gives them a home game, I think they do that. Maybe Seattle, but I think the Rams would be my preferred option. Hey Cowboys fans, thanks for watching the Cowboys Report. If you haven't already, click right here to subscribe to our channel for all the best Cowboys coverage on the internet. That's news, rumors, highlights, mailbags, film studies, and a whole lot more. And I'm making your lives a little bit easier as well with the next Cowboys Report video right here.